Most investors think that QQQM is just a cheaper version of QQQ, but that's not the whole story. There are a few important things investors should understand before adding it to their portfolio, because QQQM tracks one of the most famous indexes in the world, the Nasdaq 100, which means it's heavily concentrated in some of the largest tech companies on the planet. That concentration has helped drive incredible returns over the last decade, but it also comes with risks many investors don't fully appreciate. The heart of this channel is education, helping people understand the why behind investing decisions, not just the what. When you understand how something actually works, it becomes much easier to make confident long-term decisions. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly what QQQM is and how it works. We'll also look at what makes it different from traditional index funds, the advantages and risks investors should understand, and who this ETF is really designed for. Hi, I'm Greg Hardy, and welcome back to the channel, and thank you for being here. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and building a secure financial future. So if you're serious about taking control of your money and also learning something new every week, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It really helps the channel out and gets this information to more people who need it. Thank you. QQQM is an ETF that tracks the Nasdaq 100 index, which includes 100 of the largest non-financial companies listed on the Nasdaq exchange. Instead of owning the entire stock market like an S&P 500 fund, QQQM focuses on a smaller group of companies that are heavily concentrated in sectors like tech, communication services, and consumer discretionary. And because of that structure, the fund holds many of the most recognizable growth companies in the world, including Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, and Tesla. With such a strong tilt towards large technology and innovation-driven companies, QQQM tends to be much more growth-focused than the overall market is, which is one of the main reasons it has produced such strong long-term returns during periods when tech companies are leading the market. And one important difference many investors don't realize is that the Nasdaq 100 excludes financial companies. That means banks, insurance companies, and many traditional financial stocks are not included in the index at all. And as a result of that, the index ends up looking very different from something like the S&P 500, which includes companies from nearly every major sector of the economy. Instead, the Nasdaq 100 is dominated by companies operating in areas like tech, software, digital platforms, AI, semiconductors, and e-commerce. These industries have been responsible for many of the biggest innovations and fastest growing companies over the past 2 decades. Because of that, the index tends to have a stronger tilt towards companies that are focused on growth and technological advancements. Because those sectors have grown so dramatically, the Nasdaq 100 has produced very strong long-term performance. But that same concentration also means the index can sometimes be more volatile than the broad market indexes like the S&P 500, especially during periods when tech stocks fall out of favor. When those large tech companies are doing well, the index can outperform significantly. But when they struggle, the declines can also be more noticeable. QQQM follows a market cap weighted approach, which means the companies with the largest market value receive the largest allocations in the fund. In simple terms, the bigger the company, the more influence it has on the ETF's overall performance. This is a common structure used in many major index funds because it naturally gives more weight to the companies that dominate the market. Because of that structure, companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia often make up a significant portion of the entire portfolio. These are some of the largest and most influential companies in the world, and their growth over the past decade has played a major role in driving the performance of the Nasdaq 100. When these companies perform well, they can push the entire index higher. Even though the ETF holds about 100 companies, a large portion of the performance often comes from the top 10 holdings. That means the movements of just a handful of mega cap companies can have a noticeable impact on the fund's overall results. So understanding that dynamic is important for investors because it explains why the ETF can sometimes move differently than broader market funds. And that leads to something investors really need to understand before buying this type of ETF: the concentration risk. Many investors see 100 companies and assume the fund is highly diversified, but the reality is that a large percentage of the portfolio is concentrated in just a handful of mega cap tech companies. Even though the ETF holds around 100 stocks, the largest companies carry much more weight than the smaller ones do, which means the diversification isn't as broad as many people initially assume. In many cases, the top 10 holdings can represent 45 to 50% of the entire ETF. That means a relatively small group of companies has a significant influence over the fund's overall performance. So when those companies are performing well, the ETF can benefit from that momentum and sometimes outperform the broader market. But the opposite can also happen. If those same large companies begin to struggle or fall out of favor, the ETF can experience larger swings than more diversified indexes like the S&P 500. That's why QQQM is really best thought of as a large cap growth strategy, not a broad market fund designed to represent the entire economy. Understanding that distinction can help investors decide how it fits into a long-term portfolio. Over the past decade, the Nasdaq 100 has significantly outperformed the S&P 500, and a big reason for that comes down to the dominance of major tech companies. Much of that outperformance has been driven by the rapid growth of companies involved in cloud computing, AI, software, and digital platforms. Many of those companies are heavily represented in the Nasdaq 100. Because QQQM tracks that index, it has benefited from the strong performance of those large growth companies. When tech and innovation-driven businesses are leading the market, the Nasdaq 100 often performs very well compared to broader indexes like the S&P 500. But it's important to remember that outperformance doesn't happen in every market environment. Markets tend to move in cycles, and there are periods when sectors like energy, financials, or industrials begin to lead. During those times, indexes that are more evenly diversified across sectors can sometimes perform better. When tech stocks struggle or investors rotate money into other parts of the market, the Nasdaq 100 can temporarily underperform broader market indexes. That's why understanding what you actually own is so important. Knowing that QQQM has a strong growth and tech tilt helps investors set realistic expectations for how it may behave in different market conditions. This is one of the most common questions investors ask when they first come across QQQM. At first glance, the two funds look almost identical, and in many ways they are, but QQQM and QQQ track the exact same index, the Nasdaq 100, which means they hold the same companies and follow the same overall investment strategy. The biggest difference between the two funds is the expense ratio. QQQM charges about 0.15%, while QQQ charges around 0.2%. And while that difference seems small, cost is one of the few things investors can actually control. For investors who plan to hold the fund for decades, keeping costs lower can quietly improve long-term returns. Another key distinction is how the funds are typically used in the market. QQQ has been around much longer and tends to be extremely popular with traders and active investors because it has very high daily trading volume and a large options market built around it. That liquidity makes it easier for institutions and traders to move in and out of positions quickly. QQQM, on the other hand, was introduced more recently and was designed with long-term investors in mind. It offers the same exposure to the Nasdaq 100, but with slightly lower cost and a structure that is better suited for investors who simply want to buy the fund and hold it as a part of a long-term portfolio. In other words, both ETFs give investors access to the same group of companies. The main difference comes down to how the funds are typically used. QQQ tends to attract traders, while QQQM is often the more cost-efficient choice for long-term investors focused on building wealth over time. QQQM tends to appeal to investors who want strong exposure to large cap growth and tech companies. Because the fund tracks the Nasdaq 100, it gives investors access to many of the companies that have been leading innovation and tech changes over the past 2 decades. These are the businesses that are often at the forefront of areas like AI, cloud computing, software development, semiconductors, and digital platforms. For investors who believe those trends will continue shaping the global economy, QQQM can be a powerful part of a long-term portfolio. Instead of trying to pick individual winners, the ETF allows investors to gain exposure to a group of companies that are already some of the most dominant and influential businesses in the world. At the same time, it's also important to understand that QQQM is not designed to represent the entire market. Because of its strong concentration in tech and growth-oriented companies, it doesn't offer the same level of diversification that broader funds like the S&P 500 can provide. The S&P 500 includes companies from financials, healthcare, energy, consumer staples, and many other sectors, which helps spread risk more evenly across the economy. As we've touched on before, QQQM is more concentrated. It can sometimes experience larger swings in performance, especially during periods when tech stocks are under pressure or investors rotate into other sectors. That's why many investors choose to use funds like QQQM as a complement to a broader index fund, rather than relying on it as their only investment. At the end of the day, QQQM really comes down to how comfortable you are with concentrated growth exposure. Some investors prefer broad diversification across the entire market, while others are comfortable leaning more heavily into the companies that are driving a lot of today's innovation and technological changes. Neither approach is necessarily right or wrong. It simply depends on how you want your portfolio positioned for the long term. I'd really be curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you currently own QQQM, or do you prefer broader index funds like the S&P 500? And if you do own QQQM, is it something you hold as a core part of your portfolio, or more of a growth tilt alongside a broader index fund? There's a lot of different ways investors approach this. Some people prefer to keep things simple with one broad market fund, while others like adding a fund like QQQM to increase their exposure to large tech and growth companies. I'd love to hear how you're thinking about it and how you use QQQM in your investing strategy. If you found this video eye-opening, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. And if you want more practical, no-nonsense advice on building wealth and securing your financial future, then check out this video here. And also, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.